Hello again, this is the Tone Deaf Monk. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Today is second of three of the new Wild Earth series, 7th anniversary stuff from Hisenior. Today I have the MEGA5EST. Now these are the retuned, upgraded version of the MEGA5P. My comments on that set that I liked after a while was that it was really warm and dark, but it left me with wanting. It left me wanting, and wanting was the upper end. The 2/3 of the bottom was great. 1/3 of the top wasn't so much. Now, I do like warm and sometimes darker tunings as my preference, but when you do too much of something, not so much for me. Classic example of that was the Pen-On Globe. It's lovely in the fact of the vocals. They're alluring, they're lush, but there just wasn't enough high end, and I had to EQ the thing to get me to where I started to really enjoy it. And I eventually sold that set because I don't, if I'm not going to pick them up and use them on a, semi-daily basis, it's why keep them. I don't need to keep sets for comparison. Not really. That's not why I do this. But let's talk about the MEGA5ESTs. So this one was, it comes with this cable called the White Whale in 4.4. I got a new toy. Oh yes, I did. So there's my Hibby R6 Pro 2. Here's an X-Duo XD05 Pro. It's an absolute beast, like 2 watts into 30 ohm resistance. So it's got some juice, which is good because my desktop stack is out of service for a bit until I get my Gishelli Labs DAX upgraded. So I was pretty happy that this came in and I can use it. It kind of plays into a bit of this review as well. So where do I begin? So did the MEGA5, big question, did the MEGA5 EST fix what I didn't like as much in the MEGA5P? No and yes. Yes, it has more highs, but in the wrong place and not put together. And let's explain that a bit. So this one has the big 10 millimeter dynamic driver, and it does a phenomenal job. EJ07M, let's sure, for bottom end, this thing, there is no comparison. This thing is what the EJ07 should have had for sub bass, and what that had in fast attack speedy mid bass, this thing should have had. But the driver in this particular IM plays more on the warm bass versus speedy mid bass. It's definitely more sub bass focused. And but I'll get into the overall tuning in a bit. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, the ESTs that are in here. So they work, but it's definitely not the best implementation I've seen. It's missing something between the treble and the ultra highs where the ESTs kick in. It really, you get the sparklies and twinklies, but the rest of it is not cohesive enough with the upper treble and upper mids. So it just sounds like there's a disconnect there. And how I really came to that very opinionated statement, is the 10th anniversary Penon. An excellent V-shape, not quite a V-shape tuning, but it's a very good, well-tuned set. Everything is extremely cohesive. You can't tell where one, and everything in the EST drivers are what they should be doing, which is just adding in the extra sheen on the top end of instrumental and string instruments. That's what it really does well. Where this one, you hear some highs, but then you hear just, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but the ESTs are definitely not well implemented here. Two other really good examples of ESTs that are sitting on my desk, which are upcoming reviews. Sound Rhyme DTE 900s. One dynamic driver, 9.2, very similar to the Okavango at 9.5 millimeter dynamic driver, but better. 4 BAs, Knowles, and 4 Sonyan ESTs. Very well implemented. That'll be a completely separate review. That is $700, $800. Over here, this is a Canera Imperial Loki. What a terrific set as well. Again, EST drivers implemented the way it's supposed to be. Both of those other two IEMs, you get the high frequencies, you get instrumental placements, you get air staging. And then the ESTs kick in to add, like I said, that extra little bit of energy on the very top end to give it a special, ESTs give it a bit of a special quality. And if it's done correctly, implemented correctly, it's a wonderful tuning. The MEGA5 EST is an example of it not being implemented properly. Kind of like the Okavango, where in my review I did say if you hit that treble switch and you get this huge 12 dB boost in the treble, that treble just again sounded disconnected from, and it was actually, because it was the upper mids and highs, and then it scooped down, and then it had this huge 12 dB gain. It it was odd, and it sounds that way too when you hit that switch. And if you don't hit the switch, I was just wishing again it had just a 2-3 dB more high frequencies, just to give it some more vocal energy, especially in female vocals. Let's talk about how the MEGA5 EST sounds to me. Vocals sound recessed. It's a dark, warm tuning again, but it's too much. That 10 millimeter dynamic driver is bleeding into the mid bass, and it's not fast enough. In fact, it's a very slow decay on the bass presentation, where it definitely bleeds into the mid bass. It muddies up. It makes male vocals sound pretty good and husky, but females sound off. They sound too much. There's too much weight to the female vocals, and it sounds that way, even for my taste. And I don't mind a little bit, but when you muck with it too much, that's what happens in this set. So the texture and the weight to the bass is nice, and the sub frequencies, it's great. But again, I really wish they would have chosen a dynamic driver that would have had a little bit more speedy, 60 hertz to 200 hertz. Give it a bit more speed. Not a big fan of the dynamic driver used in this one. I thought the Okavango 9.5 millimeter driver was better than this 10 millimeter one. And again, I think the Okavango is the better of the two IMs that were tuned. Like, it has a little bit more of the upper mids and treble, And again, because of the smaller dynamic driver, it had a little bit more speedy mid bass, and it didn't bleed into the vocals like this set does. So, did they fix the MEGA5P? No, I don't think so. I think they made a different tuning and tried to, but they didn't hit the mark on this one. Now, in order to get those ESTs to go as well, here's another note, and Kevin also noted that in his reviews, you need juice. So it was kind of interesting that at the first couple of days, I had just the Hibby driving it, and I just find that it doesn't have enough power. I mean, they advertise it, but I just think it misses more. So when the X Duo came in with those 2 watts of power, it livens the ESTs up, but again, not in a great way. They energize them all right, but then there's more of a disconnect between the two. You also see that I'm switched out a different cable. The White Whale is a very bad pairing, I'm sorry to say. It muddies the bass even more and kind of mutes the top end a little bit, which is kind of exactly the opposite you want. Kevin found, and he loaned me along with these, the L-Tech, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one, Elitech Project 8 Prudence SPC. Definitely huge improvement. Gorgeous cable, by the way, super thick and soft. But I found, yes, it did do a little bit of what I was looking for, but in this case, I chose a ISN G4 cable. So this one's got some gold in it. It's got SPC. I'm trying to fix a little bit of the mids and give it some life in the top end, and it did it for a little bit, but not to bring me to an happy place. I think that's really it for this. I don't want to spend too much more time on something I definitely wouldn't recommend. I think personally these are $700. Just looked. Sorry about that. So $649 regular, on sale, $100 off, $549. And if you want a custom, which is nice because they allow you to do custom, you can add $50 and do a custom shell. So the Hisenior's got a lot of things going for them, but at $549 on sale, I would totally recommend the Pen-On 10th at $499. So $50 less, not on sale. It's a better IM, better tuned, and overall better IM. If you're going to spend more money yet, wait for some more reviews on the SoundRhyme DTE 900. Initial reaction was, it's a banger. Or you could do the $2,600 Imperial Lokis. I wish they were mine. But again, they're on loan, just like the MEGA5EST. That's it for now. This is Tone Deaf Monk. As you know, some other stuff is coming up. Very excited about that. And I still haven't done my Soft Ears Twilight review, which for me is Endgame IM. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. I'm out. Hey, just some final thoughts and maybe some feedback to Hisenior if you're going to watch this video. So you're getting closer. Your ideas are good. Your implementation maybe needs a little work. Classic example is the White Whale cable. Looks fantastic, but does it pair well with this IM? I don't think so. Maybe get some feedback from reviewers before you release this thing to the wild would be my suggestion. And same as the tuning, right? I gave you feedback for the Okavango, and hopefully you take some of that to heart. And same as this. I mean, boost the upper treble to where you get coherency between your upper treble and your EST. That will make this set significantly better. Not so dark. Look at that 10 millimeter driver and maybe put the 9.5 in here. It depends on what you're going for. It's the same thing. I mean, all of our feedback is subjective, in my opinion, and as well, right? So what I like, maybe you would like, but that's how I heard this set and what I thought needed improvements for me. And it's an interesting comparison to what else is out there, right? And that's your competition. That's I'm talking to Hisenior now, right? That's who you're competing with in this very competitive market. So that's it. I mean, that's all I have for this. I didn't want to sound like I was dumping on this set, for sure. I mean, there's some people that will really enjoy this tuning and think the EST implementation is the second coming of the holy batter, the holy grail. But for me, it wasn't. Just because I know and I've had other sets, lots of EST sets, and I just didn't find this to be my liking. But you might. There you go.